Good morning. Good morning. It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. And it's Friday, yes. Oh man, what the devil? Stupid bird just flew into my bay window. Well, at least it didn't bust it. Maybe the wife does need to take that bird feeder off the window. I got her a few years ago. I got her a clear plexiglass bird feeder with suction cups on it so you can put it on your window. That way you can watch the birds eating the food. And it's kind of cute. And the cat likes to sit there and watch the birds. At first it confused the cat. There's birds right there, and I can't reach them. But now he just sits there and looks at them. But anyway, let's see. What am I? Okay. Tallahassee, Florida. Bunch of kids they got a shock of their lives. They're in having their birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese, and they turn around and they see this. The police escorting Chucky out the door with Chucky's hands cuffed behind him. Chucky is being arrested. Yeah. No, no. And why is Chucky being arrested? Well, the cops, they're coming in, and when they do go over to handcuff him, they're saying, "Chucky, come with me, Chucky," an officer said during the arrest. A photo of Chuck E. Cheese employee being escorted out of a Tallahassee, Florida location in handcuffs has gone viral. The police say the incident involves a man facing credit card charges. And of course, some people were upset. Come on, man. You couldn't, for the kid's sake, you couldn't let the man get out of costume. At least take the head off, the head and the shirt off. So, they're not seeing Chuck E. being arrested. Jamer Jarreau Jones was arrested after officers responded to the Chuck E. Cheese location regarding reports of a stolen credit card. The female caller alleged she had video proof of Jones committing the crime and she was at the location to confront him. The woman told police who met her in the parking lot the last time she used her credit card was on June 28, 2025, when she attended her child's birthday party. After the party, she knows that $105 worth of fraudulent charges on her card from businesses where she never shopped. When she got footage from the local grocery store, she immediately identified the man using her card in the business as a Chuck E. Cheese employee. Once the woman said she wanted to press charges against Jones, the officers entered the Chuck E. Cheese and located him after another employee said, "He's the one in the mouse suit." When the officers approached Jones, one of them grabbed his right arm and said, "Chucky, come with me, Chucky." During the interactions, Jones pulled away from the officer's grip and allegedly continued resisting by bracing his arms towards his chest and would not release his braced arms. The arresting officer told Jones not to make a scene, at which point he was placed in handcuffs and escorted out of the business to the officer's patrol car. While talking to the officer, Jones said, the only cards I use are my own Cash App. I don't got no card on me. I don't use nobody's card but my own. But Chucky, and see, the police weren't really done giving shock waves to the kids, because then kids pulling up to Chuck E. Cheese, they saw this. They weren't inside when Chucky was arrested. They come outside and they find Chucky's head on top of the patrol car. Oh, Chucky's been decapitated. He got caught in a mousetrap. Now, see, this guy, Mr. Jones, this is the second time in 6 months he's been arrested for this. So he's been charged with criminal use of personal identification info, fraudulent use of a credit card, and theft of a credit card more than twice within 6 months. But his bail was $1,000, so he was able to get out. These poor kids that like Chuck E. Cheese, if they missed him being led out in handcuffs, they could see him out in the parking lot being decapitated. And Spanky fell asleep and he's snoring. Listening to a dog snore is hilarious. So let's see here. Let me close this. I don't need that one. And I don't want that one. I just realized, where's Chucky's hat? Because Chucky usually wears a green and purple hat with the big C on it. Chucky's head don't have no hat, and he didn't have a hat on in the other picture either. They must have made him take it off, or it fell off. Oh, well, poor Chucky. Let's see what else. What other weird stories? This one here. I can honestly see how this happened. I mean, I'm not saying I don't, I don't think the guy deserved to be punished, but it's not like it's not unforeseen that something like this could happen. But it did, and this poor New York Police Department cop is in just a little bit of trouble. New York PD cop who let naked nut job boat thief escape from New York City hospital suspended without pay. A New York, okay, in charge of keeping tabs on a loony hunk who took 2 boats for joyrides while completely naked was suspended without pay for falling asleep on the job. The unnamed officer was stationed at Columbia University Irving Medical Center to keep an eye on Stephen Blessett, the 36-year-old nut charged with grand larceny for allegedly pulling off a watery theft at the Dickman Street Marina. No wonder he was naked. He was at the Dickman Street. He's one of his show his okay, while in the buff. According to the police, Blessett finally got dressed, put on a lab coat with blue hospital pants around 6:30 in the morning, and slipped out of the hospital still shoeless. This is under review. The New York Police Department spokesman said the officer involved is currently suspended without pay. Meanwhile, the police are on the lookout for Blessett, who apparently travels light. Yeah, he travels around naked. I'm sure. There you go, ladies, and gay men, and bi men, and non-binary whatevers, and anybody else who wants to see naked men. Law enforcement sources said the cops believed the seafaring nudist was high on meth at the time, was taken to the hospital for observation. Now, the reason why I say I can understand this happened at 6:30 in the morning. That means this poor cop was sitting there on night shift. As y'all know, I work night shift. The night a week I'm allowed to work. I take into work 72 ounces of black coffee. Well, not 72 ounces of coffee. I put a little bit of hazelnut creamer into it just to help cut. You know, you drink black coffee all night long, and you get that you get acid stomach from drinking that much coffee. You know, so I prefer my coffee black, but if I'm drinking that much, I put a little bit of hazelnut into it to help cut the acidity of it so that I can drink that much coffee. And then I also drink a caffeinated cold drink, 32 ounces of that. And that's what it takes to keep me awake for the most part. I'm not saying I've never took a 2-minute doze, because I'm sure I have. But working third shift, if you're by yourself, there's no activity going on around you. Hospitals, they dim their lights at night so that they don't wake up the patients, even though they're waking up the patients for temperatures and getting blood and everything else. You know, they, do sort of dim the lights in the hallways and such. At least the hospitals I've been in did. And if you're there by yourself like that, you're sitting in that chair. Yeah. So should the cop have fallen asleep? No. But if you've ever pulled that kind of duty, and face it, if he would have drank a lot of coffee, I make almost hourly trips to the bathroom when I'm drinking that much coffee. Hey, morning, Data. But I'm drinking. I'm making almost hourly trips back to the bathroom here, starting about 1 o'clock in the morning. So even so, this guy, cop goes to the bathroom to relieve all that caffeine, all that liquid out of his body, and the guy could have walked out then too. So he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. They really should have had two officers there if they're watching him on third shift, just so that they can keep each other awake. Or if one is catching a cat nap, the other one is awake and able to walk around. They can spell each other a little bit. Because third shift sucks. The human body was not designed to be up and work all night long. I mean, you sort of get used to it, sort of get used to it. I mean, when I was in the Air Force, I worked third shift a lot for a couple of years. And, after a few months of it, you sort of get used to it. But then the weekend rolls around and the wife and kids want to go do things and you're in bed asleep. And then when you're finally awake, they're heading to bed. And like right now, before I go to work on Tuesday night, I lay down, between 4 and 5 o'clock and try to get a 3 hour nap in. So my wife gets home from work or between 4 and 5, I lay down and take a nap, 3 hour nap. The wife gets home at 5:30, and I'm in bed asleep until 8 o'clock, and it's 8:30 by the time I come staggering out. I get a cup of coffee going and uh, grab something to eat real quick out of the fridge. And an hour and a half later, an hour later, I go back in the kitchen to make up my coffee and pack my dinner and such. About 9:15. And at 10 o'clock, I'm walking out the door to go to work. So the wife and I really don't see each other on Tuesdays. Wednesday, I mean, honestly, I'm not here on Wednesday. I'm half asleep all day. The dog won't let me go to bed. The dog and cat will not let me go back and sleep in the bed. So I cat nap on the couch. And I try to do things that don't take a lot of concentration. So I know I've got a lot of sympathy for this poor cop. I really do. And his supervisors, whoever assigned him this duty, they should have assigned two people. And in all seriousness, there should have been two people assigned to help keep each other awake. First shift and second shift is not that bad. Third shift is a butt kicker. Now, they're not saying how long he was suspended for without pay. And remember, and this is something else that gets me. All right. You get these cops that violate somebody's rights, they beat the crap out of them. They, or they enter their home without a warrant. They do other things which is illegal for them to do, and they get suspended. 24 hours, 36 hours, 72 hours with no pay. And they actually did something worse than this guy did, because they actually knowingly violated somebody's constitutional rights. They abused their authority as a police officer. This guy just succumbed to human nature. Okay, 24-hour suspension. That's 3 days lost pay. That hurts somebody living paycheck to paycheck, but okay, I could see a 24-hour, 16-hour suspension without pay. At the worst. Ideally, it should have been just given a write-up. Something in his record saying he fell asleep on the job. But that's okay. That's what it is. All right. This is something I saw this morning. And I said, you have got to be kidding me. Now, I'm not a fan of this Wicked play or movie or anything else. I'm not a fan of it. Okay. The original Wizard of Oz story, as written by Baum, is great. My older sister is a Wizard of Oz fanatic. If I want to buy her a gift that she's going to go crazy over, buy her something dealing with Wizard of Oz. And she's just absolutely, as happy could be. But a reimagining of Wicked the Musical featuring a cast made up entirely of transgender and non-binary performers is coming to London. Uh, I'm I honestly, I hope it flops. I honestly hope it flops. It's a one-day play to raise money for the local trans pride uh, event. And the thing is, the the uh, the play happens the day after this event happens, and they're raising money for it. Must be trying to raise money for the next year's event. But I I have to wonder, in order for them to get permission to do this, they had to get permission from the people that own the play the play Wicked. Because these plays, they're written by somebody, they're scored by somebody, and so somebody owns the rights to them. And when you want to put on this play, you have to get permission. Even high schools have to get permission unless they get something that's in the public arena there. And, usually that's something from the 1920s, 30s, or 40s. And so that's why you see high schools put on things like Oklahoma, because that's now in the public arena. They're not going to put on Cats because that's still owned by somebody, and that somebody is going to want paid something for you to put it on. And speaking of, this is something else I saw this morning and I had to laugh about. Okay. Now, I have never heard of this woman, Jessie Murphy or Jessie Murph, but evidently she wrote this song called 1965. And it's got the feminists all wound up tighter than a drum. Now, I listened to it this morning and I'm like, how could, well, you guys listen to her.
I want you to love me like it's 1965. Oh, I want you to want me. I think I give up a few rides if you would just love me like it's 1965.
Now, do you know, besides the fact that her singing is absolutely atrocious, that voice is absolutely horrid. Can you guess why the feminists are mad about that song? You actually have to listen a little bit to hear it there, but it's just before the ending. She goes, I would gladly give up some rights if you'd love me like it was 1965. Feminists are PO'd. They are absolutely angry about this song. And I think it's funny. I really do. But the the woman can't sing. This guy dancing in the background. When I first saw, it's like I heard that they were mad about this song. I'm like, okay, let me go listen to it. I found this and I'm like, this has got to be a joke. This can't be serious. But it is. They were seriously angry about this. And I just don't. Why? Why would you get angry about this? And y'all making dissertations on how Sabrina was sending women back to the days of the Salem witch trials. I think I'd give up a few rights if you just love me like it's 1965. Excuse me? I don't care if this is meant to be ironic, satirical, or whatever. I absolutely hate it. I hate her singing. It's not the costume or this or that. It's the propaganda. This is literally MAGA propaganda. Now, this is true. Generally, one of the worst voices in music of our time. What is going on? I absolutely agree with that. What is this? A sad attempt at Amy Winehouse garbage? I don't know anything about Amy Winehouse other than she led a very sad life there at the end. So stop making stupid people famous. Anyway, but yeah, there's a fascism indicator. I can't. I'm surprised that post because I'm not going to say it, but I'm surprised that post is still being allowed to be up. That it hadn't been pulled. Somebody hadn't filed a complaint about it. I tell you, any woman ever grabbed me butt like that would be in trouble. But anyway, so but now I'm going to jump back over to England here. Going to jump back over to England because you know we're talking about the London, having that crazy ass uh, play. This is how bad it is over there in the UK. Firefighter disciplined over staff saying fireman. Fireman is a firefighter resigned after being disciplined for not stopping his staff saying fireman, a tribunal heard. Simon Bailey, 58, was nearing 30 years of service when he quit after he was handed a final written warning for the use of the sexist term. He has now taken the Avon Fire and Rescue Service to an employment tribunal claiming constructive dismissal. Mr. Bailey said his world came crashing down after the disciplinary and eventual resignation. He told the Sun. Now, did he willingly resign or did they request him to resign? That's because the UK is weird. And I wish Kitten was here to explain this to me. But when I received the disciplinary letter, I felt physically sick and devastated, became a shell of myself. This is now how I wanted my 27 years of service to end. I don't tend to tell people I used to be a firefighter, as I feel almost embarrassed because of the way I was treated. Because this is the part that gets me here. At the hearing in Bristol, Adam Griffiths, his barrister, That's what they call a lawyer over there, questioned why there was no clear directive saying the use of the word fireman had to stop. Taking aim at Luke Gazzard, the assistant fire chief who led the disciplinary probe, he said, if you hold someone up to that standard, there'd obviously be a missive or directive saying this word that we've been using for the past 150 years must stop. I still say fireman. I don't use the firefighter that often. The fire service revised its terminology after a previous tribunal found it was a sexist organization. Now, I don't understand what this has to do with it. Sasha Aitken, a former England rugby player, successfully won her discrimination case after she was told a woman's place was in the kitchen. An employment judge found she was subject to a long-standing campaign of derogatory offensive comments by bosses who forced her to quit. Ms. Aitken won claims of sexual discrimination and constructive dismissal, as well as numerous claims of sex harassment, victimization, and harassment on the grounds of sexual orientation. What does a rugby player have to do with the fire department? That absolutely confuses me. Makes no sense whatsoever. There's something more in this story that just makes no sense whatsoever. But this is the way British newspapers are written. And maybe it makes sense over there. Maybe it's a cultural difference as to why this would be part of the actual story when there doesn't seem to be anything linking the two together. But but then the UK, especially in London, and Kitten, I wish you was here so that I'm not beating up on individuals. I'm just beating, this is a case of where people have gotten, where you've gotten so sensitive, overly sensitive to people that you've got to watch every word you say. And this story here is a prime example. Let me switch over to this. This story here is a prime example of what you can, just, all right.
You've alleged, we weren't here, so I don't know you said it, but you've alleged to say, speak English? Or was that?
It is the police are talking to this man because somebody alleged that he told them to speak English. That is an arrestable offense because it's considered discriminatory and hate speech.
Speak clearly. Speak clearly.
No,
Okay.
the gentleman's partially deaf.
Yeah, he can speak clearly.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even hear him.
No, and that's fine, and that's why we've just come to speak, because potentially someone could perceive that as a hate crime. You have alleged.
Telling somebody to speak English is a hate crime. My brain hurts. Kitten, buddy, you know, y'all, that's painful. That is just painful to see. Okay, let's see here. I can close that tab. I can close that one. This poor firefighter, police officer, though, I still feel sorry for him. I still feel sorry for that poor cop. Hey, Raman, good morning. You think you died a little? I feel that way every morning now. Oh, come on. But now I'm going to rip into the military. I am going to rip into the military right now. And if Dar was here, he would be very, very sad to see this. This first case here is this is an army. This woman is actually active duty army. Okay. She weighs 320 pounds. Hey, Digi, good morning. She weighs 320 pounds. And she releases the video of her eating the Dubai chocolate bar. If you don't know what the Dubai chocolate bar is, it's a dark chocolate bar with an almond or pistachio filling. Not almonds, pistachio. She has taken massive hits. Her original video that she put up, she took it down. But anything put on the internet is there forever. That's the question a lot of people are asking, Raman. First of all, how is she allowed to get that fat? Now, when I was active duty, my maximum weight was 225. I typically tip the scales between 195 and 200. Our unit had our annual mass weigh-in. Now, we weighed in a couple times a year, but every January was our unit's annual mass weigh-in. Everybody in the unit had to weigh in. They shut down all operations for that day. They brought in the hospital staff, and it didn't matter what shift you worked. The only excuse for not being there was being in the hospital, being in jail, or being on leave. Those are the only three excuses. And leaves were usually denied for that day. If you planned on taking leave during that time, it was usually denied. You could start leave the day after. You could not start leave the day of or the day before. And, I always thought it kind of sucked because, people were worried about their weight over, between Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. You're out partying, you're going to parties, you're eating, you're drinking. And then the first or second week of January, you're being called, everybody's having to go weigh in. And this, how was she allowed to get to 320 pounds? Now, I had a massive weight increase when I spent 2 years undergoing 14 hernia surgeries. And come to find out, it screwed up my lymphatic system so badly that that's one of the reasons why I can't lose the weight, because my lymphatic system is absolutely screwed up. And rather than, anyway, if you know what your lymphatic system does, then you'll understand when it gets screwed up what happens. But there's no excuse, if she was that weight when she joined, how did she get through basic and anything else? And why was she allowed to get that fat? How did she manage to make it through? You don't put on 150 pounds overnight. It just don't happen. It takes a bit to put on that kind of weight. Oh, did you? I fully admit, right now I'm tipping the scales at 345 pounds. All right. My one doctor thinks about 70 pounds of that is water weight because of my screwed up lymphatic system, which got screwed up from the hernia surgeries, having 7 hernia surgeries in 2 years. To fix 14 hernias. Yes, 14 hernias. My God. But I just find it amazing that she was allowed to get that heavy. But you see, it's not just the Navy or the Army. Here's some Navy. These women are active duty Navy. The first three there, and there's more down the line, but those first three are obviously overweight. And there's a Navy chief, woman that just got promoted to E9 in the Navy. And I've been trying to find a very clear picture of her, and all I could find pictures with other people in front of her. She looks like she's tipping this, like she looks like she's about 5'6" maybe, and she looks like she's tipping the scales at close to 270. And the Air Force is just as bad. It's across the board in the military. Again, I saw people being discharged because they stayed 5 pounds over the weight max. 5 pounds. Wow. "20 needles drawing fluid." That's amazing. Well, when I do my leg pumps, an hour on each leg, I'll do one leg, then I've got to go to the bathroom. I'll do the other leg, and then I got to go to the bathroom again. And then about a half hour or so after that, I'm going back to the bathroom again. And that's from just the water that they squeeze out of my legs. And they gave me a wrap that's supposed to go around my stomach, but it ain't big enough. I'm sorry, I'm embarrassed to say, but it ain't big enough to go around my belly. That's just amazing having that. But the military has got a serious problem, a serious weight problem. And it's only seemed to have come since the 2000s. Because I'll guarantee in 1998, that was the year I retired. In 1998, the Air Force, at least the Air Force, was still pressing very hard. I mean, I was 6'3", and my maximum weight was 225 pounds. All right. Then they went to the BMI, which scared the hell out of a bunch of us, because it's like, okay, because they're measuring your neck, and they measured your neck, your chest, and your stomach at the belly button. And they had a chart there with you've done these 3 numbers, and it said, okay, this is what your body fat is. And I don't remember all the ins and outs of that, but people were being discharged over the BMI. We had one guy that was they put him on the scales, and he tipped the scales heavy, real heavy. But everybody knew he wasn't fat. He was a weightlifter. So they actually sent him down to do the submersion test. And he come back with like 12.5% body fat at 250, 260 pounds. So, I mean, that's what, 40 pounds of fat on your entire body. And, that's not much at all, because your body does have to have some fat on it. Yeah, I know that scale at Publix. Now I've got a great scale here at the house that I get on once a week, and it not only does it do your weight, but it actually, how much liquid, how much actual fat is in your body, and how much liquid of your weight is water weight, liquid weight, what's your bone mass. It's got all that good stuff in there, and the wife and I both use that uh, to give us a little more direction on our weight loss programs that we're on. So, but I mean, it's like what did we have for dinner last night? Um, oh, I did chicken cutlets for dinner last night. Chicken cutlets and a salad. That was what we had for dinner. And then both of us, we each only ate a half a breast. I made up two full breasts, and each one of us only ate a half a breast because we'd eaten so much salad. For breakfast this morning, had a fried egg over easy, one strip of bacon, and a slice of toasted sourdough bread. We split a slice of that. So, yeah, I took chicken breasts and flattened them out. Well, I soaked them all day in butter and spicy buttermilk, spiced buttermilk, and then I flattened them out, and the flour, heavily seasoned, of course. And then pan fried them up, and a little bit of canola oil. But our salads are so big that each one of us only managed to eat half a breast. So I could have and should have only cooked up one breast last night instead of two. Tonight I'm making sloppy joes and mac and cheese for dinner. Tonight's splurge night. So, but I'll use what we use is a low carb tortillas instead of bread, and make them up like the crunch wraps. Make up the sloppy joes like you would a crunch wrap, or like you see a crunch wrap from Taco Bell. That's how we make up our sloppy joes. So, Oh. And as y'all can tell, I'm feeling a lot better today than I was feeling yesterday. I got not feeling too good yesterday during the show. That's why I ended it as quickly as I did. Today I'm feeling a lot better. I don't know what happened yesterday. I was just feeling absolute. All of a sudden, I got feeling absolutely like dog dirt. Anyway, let's see here. That is about all I have for today. Uh, I'm I'm looking forward. There's the wife wants, or not the wife. Well, a friend of the wife that she works with. Oh, this was something that made me madder in hell. Okay, this made me mad. Ann Burrell from Food Network. She died earlier this year. And yesterday they released the cause of her death. That is, they said it was suicide. This headline made me angry. This headline made me angry. Now, yeah, after I saw the headline, I saw it came from Pink News, but it still made me angry. One, I never knew Ann Burrell was a lesbian. I didn't know it. But guess what? I didn't care. I did not care that she was a lesbian because she was a damned fine chef. She was entertaining. She was frustrating to watch sometimes. But she never made her sex life part of her television personality. Her sex life was not part of her personality. If it was not for this title, this headline, I would not have known. I would not have known she was a lesbian to this day. I was more saddened that she died because I enjoyed watching her shows, watching her on television. I enjoyed watching her cook and explaining how she cooked and why she did what she did. Oh, yeah, she was a bit frustrating to watch sometimes. And sometimes I'd get mad at her for what for the way she treated people. She was not the most polite person to be dealing with. But all that's beside the point. Why would somebody do this? Now, if this was, a group that was trying to look down on people for their sex lives, then Pink News and them would be all like, how, you need to be accepting her for what she was. That she was this, that she was a good chef and such. Okay, shoot, I'm sorry, but I definitely have to pause this. Okay, I'm sorry for that. People don't listen to instructions. I've got written in my instructions never not to call me before 11 o'clock in the morning. That way, I don't get phone calls like this in the middle of a stream. But anyway. Yeah, exactly, Raman. Out of respect for the fact that she kept this part of her life out of the public eye, she didn't make it part of her public persona. I never heard her in any of her interviews talk about her wife or spouse or significant other or anything else. She kept her private life private. And for Pink News to out her as a lesbian like this at the same time that it's being revealed that she died of they're calling it a suicide, acute intoxication due to combined effects of compound found in alcohol and something used to treat ADHD. So and it really bothers me that they're using this to out her. So show the woman if you want her respect, treat her after she's died. Keep her secrets her secrets. Now, when RuPaul dies, okay, hey, everybody knows what RuPaul is. All right. When they did, yes, could have been accidental. Yeah, it could have been. I know. I'm so concerned that y'all know I like my bourbons. I like my whiskeys. I'm so concerned about the drug interaction between my alcohol and my pills that I take every day that when I plan on having a night of enjoying adult beverages, I don't take my pills that day. I don't take my pain pills. I don't take nothing for 24 hours prior to indulging in my adult beverages. Then I don't take my pills for another 24 hours after I've last indulged in my adult beverage. Because I want to make sure that the pills are out of my system for as much as possible, and I want to before I indulge, and I want to make sure the alcohol is out of my system before I take the pills again. Because I know accidental deaths from drug interactions with alcohol happen. Now, my doctors tell me I'm being overly cautious, but that's just the way it is. You know, that's why I don't drink. I definitely don't drink on Sunday nights or Monday nights because I don't want the alcohol in my system when I do my infusion on Monday mornings. And I don't want all that stuff from my infusion still being in my system Monday night if I were to drink alcohol. So it's usually on, if I'm indulging in adult beverage, it's usually on a Friday night, Thursday or Friday, and that's about it. And then, I mean, it could be a month or it could be 2 months between them nights. So yeah, I know I get told I'm overly cautious about it by a lot of people, including my wife. Oh, okay. Is this the one I is? I posted this yesterday because it was the only way I knew I could have it to where you guys could see this. All right, let's see. Is this up on the screen yet? I know. I'm waiting for it to pop up on my cell phone. Because I got my phone set up here to monitor the stream. Probably taking a while for this to be there. Okay. There we go.
I didn't want to put the trigger warning because I didn't want it to take away from the video, but I know there was going to be a lot of complaints. So, trigger warning if you're still here.
Did y'all see that? Oh yeah, I like this guy too, but AI. Now, gotta give it to this person that put this video together. They did an amazing job. Because the first time I saw it, I thought the dog puked on her face. And then I saw that they turned their face into a salad. But yeah, this was something else.
Still here.
Oh, yeah. Trigger warning is right. Yeah, I mean, I was thoroughly impressed by it too. Okay, everybody knows that Hulk Hogan died yesterday, but so did Chuck Mangione. And maybe it's my age. I remember, I mean, yeah, Hulk Hogan was a very iconic person in the WWE, the WWF, movies, etc. Hulkamania, ripping off his shirt. And yeah, he got a little bit of trouble for using a racial slur and sleeping with somebody else's wife. But yeah, come on. If they busted everybody that did that stuff, you know, whatever. He is still, I mean, children looked up to him. He was a great, icon, idol for children, I guess. But Chuck Mangione, I mean, his music, I grew up listening to Chuck Mangione. My parents, especially my dad, and my dad was very much into the petite opera. So for him to like Chuck Mangione was something else. And that struck me when I heard that he died yesterday also. So instead of 3, it was 4 this month taken. I mean, there's been something, I looked it up for the wife yesterday. There's been something like, if you worldwide, over 250 famous people have died this year. About 100 of them would be people known here in the United States. So there's been a lot of famous people who have gone to the Lord this year. And let's see what else is going on here. I'm not worrying about that. They're still going on about that guy that got sucked into the MRI machine. I've been into a pretty lengthy few days conversation over on TikTok about MRI machines. And it started off over a video of a Coast Guard ship, the bunking, the berthing area. And these poor cats on this Coast Guard ship, I mean, they've got like 4 inches clearance from their nose to the bottom of the bunk above them. And I'm like, no, absolutely no way. My claustrophobia would not allow me to crawl in that thing to go to sleep. I could not do it. And then that part of the conversation led on to talk about MRIs. And this one guy, he's claustrophobic too. And I was recommending for him to see if there's a stand-up or sitting MRI anywhere available. And he said he found one about 2-hour drive away. He's going to see if he can get permission to go over there to use it. If you are claustrophobic, I mean, when they were sending me to the standard MRI machine to have my head done, they gave me 4 Xanax. And that wasn't enough. Oh yeah, him drowning. Yeah, got caught in the rip current. But let's see here. This here is a good image of the standing MRI machine I went to. All right. And since it was my head that was getting MRI'd, they put like a football helmet on me, which is fine, perfectly fine. And it had a bar on it, so I couldn't move my head around again. That was perfectly fine too. So if you're claustrophobic and you need to get an MRI, even of your head, go someplace where they have a standing MRI. Now, mine had a bench in it that I could that I sat down on because 40 minutes is a long time. It takes a long time to do an MRI. So that 40 minutes went by fairly quickly. I mean, the woman that was doing it, her and I talked the whole time. It was nice. It was pleasant. I mean, my blood pressure never got jacked up on me. My heart rate didn't go through the roof. And I was reasonably comfortable the whole time. Now, I mean, I talk with my hands, not being able to move, wanting them not being able to move my hands around. Yeah, that was a little weird. But for an MRI, dude, if you claustrophobic, try to find one of these. Now, granted, I got to drive 2.5 hours to get mine, but I would rather do that than push a bunch of Xanax into my body. That's straight up the truth there. Let's see, what else did I have in there? Nah, we already talked about all these fat boys fat boys and girls in the military. They're let's see, don't need to talk. We've already talked about that. And let's see here. Close this MRI picture down. That's good. If you're a gamer, Monkey's show last night, you need to watch it. They're talking about this group that's pushing Steam. Well, actually, what they're pushing is Visa and MasterCard, your credit card processors, to refuse to process credit cards from gaming companies that have a content that they found objectionable, that this group of women out of Australia find objectionable. And there's a lot of video games I find objectionable. There really is. All that means is I won't play them. It just means I won't play them. I won't buy them. I won't rent them. I don't play them. I get hit constantly, and you'll see it constant ads now. If you do anything from on your cell phone, any kind of gaming on your cell phone, you get hit with constant ads for these AI women. Create the woman of your dreams. AI women. Or create the man of your dreams, your AI man. You want a guy with 6'5" and muscle, makes Adonis look weak and hung like a horse. Yes, you can create that man. You want that woman with double Z or triple Z boobs and this and that. Yes, you can create that woman. Now, years ago, under the Obama administration, Obama successfully pushed credit card companies and banks not to do business with gun businesses. If they sold guns, they sold ammo, while banks closed their accounts under the threat that if they didn't, they would be getting monitored and audited much more regularly than anybody else would. So banks closed, said, okay, we're going to quit doing business with your business. Well, this group of women out of Australia, they're doing the same. But they're bad because it's a group of quote unquote conservative women. I don't care who you are, conservative, liberal. I mean, liberals are famous for canceling people and organizations and companies they don't like. They get canceled. And the media doesn't mind that. But if a conservative group is coming in to do it, then it's wrong. Well, it's wrong regardless of who's doing it. I don't care. Much for the same reason that even though I am a Christian, I do not want a religious government. Why? For the same reason I don't want you forcing your beliefs on me. I shouldn't force my beliefs on you. And if you've got a religious government, whose religion is going to be the one saying what's right and wrong? Who's to say how much modesty is required? I mean, you got some religions out there that their women, you can't even see their eyes. You can't see their hands. I mean, they're dressed in all black or blue. And, they got gloves up to who knows where. Their faces are completely covered. They got little screens that they look out of. Well, that's modest. I mean, you definitely got to agree that's modesty. Whereas other, religions say that, okay, just don't show your boobies off. Don't show your butt off. Keep that stuff covered. Whereas other women, it's not only do that need to be covered, it needs to be hidden so well that nobody can tell that you got them. It's up to you as an individual to determine what is and is not offensive to you and what you will or will not spend your money on. Now, Digi, it's not illegal, unfortunately. Credit card it should be illegal for because the credit card processing companies, there's only a few of them. And, if they're working together to say, that we're not going to accept credit card processing from this company until they do this, this, and this. That ought to be legal. If what the company is doing is legal, credit card processors should be, should have to process their credit cards. That's just my opinion, because at what point do, the United States is now a credit card country. Everything was run off plastic. No, I can't. I've lost count of the number of times I've had to send people out to an ATM to get $60 cash for a room deposit because they just don't carry cash anymore, or they only carry a $20 bill. Yeah, if it's not a monopoly, it's as close to as it can be. There, Digi. Now, I've been after my boss for years to put an ATM machine in our office, in our lobby. I've done all the legwork for him, where all he basically had to do was call the company and sign the contract to put in the ATM, or better yet, I have found one company where he could buy the ATM, and all he had to do was pay for the phone and internet access. Didn't even have to put in phone lines, could do it all through the internet, do it through the Wi-Fi. Because people just don't carry cash anymore. Now, I do. When I'm traveling, I carry a few $1,000s in cash. But then that's because I've also got my hurricane stash. And speaking of hurricane stashes, I'm back in my hurricane stash mode. And if you're living in Florida, you need to start getting in your hurricane stash mode. If it wasn't for the fact that my wife just got a bill for $1,400 for a brake job on her car, I would be buying another generator and have enough generators to be able to run power in my house 24/7. But that $1,400 hurts. It really hurts. That's a lot of money. That's bad time of the year to be kicking out $1,400. Oh yeah, Data. You're talking about the fee given to that non-Muslims have to pay. What's it called? Jira or something like that. Oh, what the hell is just happening there? Oh, I don't care about that. So anyway, I am definitely not eating a sandwich designed by Katie Couric. Anyway, guys, I gotta run. It's looks like it's getting ready to rain, and I gotta take Puppy outside so he can go to the bathroom before it starts to rain, because he will not go out in the rain. He just won't do it. So we're getting the wind build up out there. But anyway, should be able to be back on Monday. Everybody, y'all try to have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. Stay out of trouble. If you're going to get in trouble, don't call me for bail because I can't afford it. Call Ramen. She's missed money bags. Y'all have a good weekend now. And as always, be with the ones you love and love the ones that you're with. Later, all.